Now that we have our paper all cut up, you can see I have bunches of it here. So it's all cut up. We are going to use our 1 cup. You can see that it says 1 cup on here. I can get it in the light just right. Yep, 1 cup right here. And we're going to get 1 cup of flour for every cup of water as well. So if I put 1 cup of water, I got to put 1 cup of flour. So for this project, we're probably going to need at least 2 cups of flour. So I'm going to put 1 cup of flour. Two cups of flour. And then I'm going to pour some water in here and get 2 cups of water as well. One cup. And 2 cups. And then I'm just going to mix that up. And if I need to add some flour to that, I will, because I want it to be kind of thick and sticky. Because that's the paste that's going to hold our paper onto our balloon. Alright, so I have my spoon and I'm just going to stir this up now. Trying to see if it's thick enough or not. Try and get most of the lumps out and get it mixed up really good. Because we don't want our paper mache turkey to be lumpy, so we want to get all those lumps out of there if we can. Because the lumpier we leave this, the lumpier our turkey is going to be. And I think I'd be kind of thinking, I wonder if this turkey is still good if it is lumpy. If I see stuff bulging out of my turkey, I'd be wondering. So I'm going to try and get that to be nice and smooth in there. When you're done, it should look something like this. So now that we have that done, we are ready to start dipping our paper mache. So we have our balloon. And then we're going to get a piece of paper, one of our strips. If you left some of them long and some of them shorter, that's fine, because you might need different lengths for different places. So here's a strip. I'm going to put it into our mixture, our glue here, and get it all nice and wet with our mixture. And I'm going to kind of get some of it off of here so it's not too thick. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to lay it on my balloon. We're going to get those laid on there a total of 10 times. So we're going to have 10 different layers. So I'm just doing my first layer, so I'm getting my paper, I'm putting it into my mixture, and then I'm going to keep doing that until I wrap the whole balloon 10 times. And actually, we're going to stop at 5. We're going to stop at 5 first, because the next part will be important, and we need some layers around it as well. So we take our strip, and we just keep going on around. We're going to keep doing that until we get the balloon completely covered the first time. So I'm going to let y'all do that while I do it here. Alright, so as we were wrapping our balloon in our paper, now that we have all that done, we're going to now put on the wings and the tail. So here is a wing that I've already done. It looks like this right now. So how I did that was I took the balloon that was already done, and I found that using a bowl will help with keeping it in place. So if you want to put your turkey on a bowl, that will help hold it in place while you're doing your work. So lower that down a little bit. And then here is a wing. I cut a big size, and then I kind of made it look like it was going to be the right size for my turkey here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect this. So I'm going to take my wing, and I'm going to get a piece of our newspaper. And then I want to use it to attach my wing. So I'm going to dip that into our flour and water solution. Make sure that flour and water is all over that solution, that mixture, so it will stick really good. And then I'm going to take this wing and I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to kind of look and decide on which way I want my wing to go. I want it to go about like that. So I'm going to start by going over this edge here. And then bringing this down. And I'm going to use that then to attach it across here. Kind of make sure your wings are in the same general area, because I don't know too many turkeys with one wing in the front and one wing on the side. So I want to make sure I get it kind of in the general area, or one way up here, one way down here. I haven't seen that. So I'm trying to make my turkey look as much like that, like a real turkey as possible. So I'm going to continue doing that. Probably will need about 2 pieces for each side. Then we're going to come and overlap that, and again wrap it around there. Then we're going to let that dry. Once that's dry, we're going to do this back side, kind of flattening this out. So come back after it dries. Alright, so now I've got this wing attached here, and it's dried somewhat. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to do the same thing with this side, attaching it on this side. That way it will be very stable. After that, add some more layers to make sure it's strong and holds well. Just like before, we're going to dip it into our flour water solution. We're going to make sure that it's on there all the way. And then we're going to attach it. If your strip's a little bit too long to work with, go ahead and tear it off. And then we're going to go and do the same thing to the other side, to this other half. And then we're just going to take care of this little tip here. And then add some more layers to it. Put it around and wrap. Take off your extra. And then we're going to fold that over. Once that dries, keep adding layers to it. Alright, so now that we have both wings on there, we're also going to attach the tail. And I used a piece of cardboard and I cut some feathers into it. It looks like this. And then I'm going to lay it on here and I'm going to attach it with our newspaper again. So we're going to get some of our flour water solution and put that on there. And just like our wings, we're going to go through and we're going to cover our tail now. We're just going to keep laying our layers on this until we cover the whole tail. Alright, so now that I've got my paper macheing done, I got my tail on there, got my wings on there, now I'm going to take my sandpaper and I want to get off any of the flour that's hardened into little pieces that are not making my paper smooth. So when I paint, I don't have those little bumps in there. If you don't care about there being bumps, you can skip this step. But I kind of want it to look its best. So I'm making sure that I go through and get all those little bumps off. Doesn't take a whole lot, just a little bit of time. But it's going to make my turkey look even better. If you don't get all of them, that's fine, because this is just for you. So. Get our team. With paper mache, it's all about taking your time, not learning how to not rush stuff, because if you are rushing, like Mr. Weed, when I was first learning how to do this, you get lots of bumps. You also get your balloon popping because you might think, oh, I can go use a hair dryer. Well, you can, and that will help it dry faster, but it also heats up the balloon, and sometimes it pops, and then your whole thing collapses, and then you have to start all over again. So make sure that you are taking your time and not rushing anything. So the last thing you want to have to do is start all over. You've put in the time to make something that looks nice. Don't run it at the end trying to speed it up and then you wind up running everything. Because that has happened to me before. This project will take you multiple days because in between each layer, you pretty much have to wait a whole day for the layer to dry. So you want to make sure that you are taking your time and giving it that time to dry so that you're able to get everything to look its best. Sometimes you have to make your sandpaper bigger or smaller. Well, you can't make it any bigger, but you can make it smaller. Because you need to get into a tight spot. But right now I'm just kind of tearing this up a little bit so I can get in here a little bit better. A little bit easier. Right now I'm using 60 grit sandpaper. As you are getting closer to being done though, you may want to switch over to something else so that you don't see so many lines in it. The finer it is, the bigger the number, and also the less you're going to see the lines. That's why it's called fine. So if you see something that says coarse and it says like 60 on it, that means that you're going to see those lines. We don't want to do that. But if you don't care about seeing those lines, then you can kind of just use 60, which is what I'm doing right now. At the end of the day, this is for you. Alright. So, once you're happy with it, then you're going to be ready to paint. I'll be back here in a minute just to paint the first coat. Alright, so after it dries, you're going to do your first coat of paint. So whether that's spray paint or your craft paint or whatever, we're going to do a white base. That way all of this writing that's on the newspaper is covered up, and that way we just get the bright colors of the turkey and not the writing underneath. So I'm going to take care of that now. Once you finish doing that, it should look all white, and you're just going to wait for that to dry now. Alright, so now that our primer coat's done and dry, we're going to go ahead and apply our brown paint. And I'm just going to use some brown spray paint, but if you have brown paint, it works perfectly as well. So we're going to just come in and we're going to go and cover it, all brown. And you may have to come back and apply several coats of brown. So that it comes out to the color of brown you're looking for. The more coats you add, the darker it's going to be. Alright, so now that our brown is dry, we're going to add on our eyes. So we got some white paint here, and I got a paintbrush. And this has to be done with good old-fashioned paint and time, because we don't have any way of controlling a spray paint. So I'm going to say that my eyes are going to be about right here. I'm going to just start by making a circle here. And then I want to add another eye. Trying to make them about the same size. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to let that dry now. And then we will add our pupils in. Alright, so now that the white is gone, is dry, we're going to add in our black pupil. again, this is making it however you want to make it look. So then our pupils might look something like that. And then I'm going to come to the tail here and I'm going to start outlining the feathers that we're going to have. I'm going to use the black to do that. So right now I'm just outlining those feathers still. And then this is how I chose to make my feathers look in the back. So now I need to let that black dry before I paint the feathers. I'm also going to go ahead and outline my beak here in the front. I'm going to outline our little red area underneath that beak. That's going to be our red. And then this is how that looked. So now I'm just going to let that black paint dry. Alright, so now that the black is dry, we're going to use our yellow and get the beak done. And then we're still going to need our black here in a little bit, but we need to get our beak done and start doing our feathers first. So I'm going to get that done. I'm going to paint that beak yellow, just because I think that's what his beak would look like, or closest to it. And you'll notice that when I painted my beak, I kind of gave it a little bit of a curve at the top, so that way it looks kind of like it goes around the face. So right now that's what he's looking like. And then I'm going to start painting the feathers, and I think I want to do a pattern, so I'm not going to do all the same color, even though most of the time turkeys have the same color feathers all the way through. I want to be creative. I want to do something a little different. So I'm going to give it a little bit of different colors on the tail. So let's see. Maybe this one I'll do yellow. I'm just going through and painting these feathers right now, and I'm doing about every other one, just because I like to have a pattern. Kind of helps me tell where I'm at. And patterns are just kind of neat looking. I'm on my last yellow feather now. And this is just whichever color you want to do. It's not, doesn't have to match mine or anything else. Anyone else's. This is all just for you anyway. And then my feathers right now, but just with the yellow, are looking like this. That's just yellow and brown right now. So I'm going to go ahead and let that dry, and then I'm going to come back and do some other colors too. So let that dry for a minute. Alright, now that we have our beak and our feathers painted and they're dry, we're going to go ahead and add in our red. We're going to start with the under part of our turkey neck right here. So those are usually red. So we're going to go ahead and paint that red. And then we're going to paint this other one part red. We can see that definition. Not covering up that black outline. I hope you're finding it enjoyable doing your paper mache turkey today. It takes a long time, but it's really fun to do. It's kind of a project. Alright, and then our turkey looks kind of like that. And then I think I want to do the other feathers that weren't yellow in this red. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that with this red here. Making sure I don't cover up my black outline, because I want to see the distinction of where those feathers change. So be careful. And remember, if you want to come back and paint other layers, you're more than welcome to do that. You're just going to come back after it dries so that you aren't just going over wet paint. You can actually get that red or yellow to come back out better. But you gotta wait for it to dry. A lot of what this project is waiting for stuff to dry. Alright, so now I've got my paper mache turkey. I got the feathers all painted here on the back. And I'm going to add in just a little bit more decoration to the feathers on the back. So I had to wait for them to dry. And now I'm just going to go in and do a couple of little lines across it. So I'm going to go like right here. Because sometimes you'll see those little lines on the turkey's feathers. I just think those look really neat. And like I've been saying, this is your project, so you can make your pattern whatever you'd like to on the back of the feathers. Or if you want to just leave it plain, you can do that too. So this is what mine came out looking like. So I'm going to let that dry, and then it should be done. I hope you had fun making your paper mache turkey.